All right, guys, I don't know if you heard, a CEO got whacked by a guy called Luigi. And I have to say, the media, and normally I wouldn't speak this broadly, but I think it's actually appropriate in this case. The media is absolutely terrified of how popular he is. Genuinely. There is a widespread, protracted effort, I believe, to desperately try to like massage public opinion and pull people back from supporting him. I actually just saw this as I think as I woke up. Ken Klippenstein leaked that in the New York Times, they are now instructing their writers and editors to not post images of his face because he's really handsome and it makes people sympathize with him. The news value and public service of showing his face is diminishing. Now, the New York Times does not give a single shit what the news value and public service of anything is. They care about making money and massaging the narrative to the interests of their shareholders and handlers, okay? The reason they don't want to show his face is not because the news value has diminished. The reason they don't want to show his face is because it makes people sympathize with him. It's that simple. Please keep stuff like this in mind whenever anyone calls the New York Times like a lefty institution or agency, or whenever people try to tell you that the writers and editors of the New York Times or at any institution act out of like a genuine, sincere interest in propagating the news, you know? Because they don't, and it ain't. They have a narrative and they try to push it. It's not even a matter of it being a right-wing rag. It's just like there's no actual authorial independence here. You know, they have an agenda. It really is that simple. There's nothing else you can really do. Case in point, Brian Thompson, not Luigi Mangione, is the real working class hero from Brett Stevens, opinion columnist at the New York Times. Yeah, that sounds about right. That I would say that fits appropriately. That's about what I would expect from that rag, from that institution. The media is so out of touch. Again, this is what I'm trying to correct. The media isn't out of touch. The media deliberately employs people who will propagate propaganda with a specific message. This is not like a coincidence or a mistake. You know, they're complicit in the narrative. It's not a coincidence that all these journalism students that end up getting hired at the New York Times, you know, because the out of touch thing implies that it's a mistake, and it's not a mistake. All right. Speaking of, here's Jesse Waters, everyone's favorite, The Five host, making a few comments a few days ago.
And good, he's got it. Now, he's a prep school kid. He's politically connected in Maryland.
He's ready for prison?
I don't think anyone's ready, Brian. Maybe you are, Brian, in a different way. But this guy's not ready. He's way too soft. He's going to get annihilated on the inside, and good. If he's not going to get the death penalty, maybe someone will do him justice behind bars. That's all I have to say about that.
You should stop there.
Right?
I really like the implication that people in prison would fuck you up for assassinating a health insurance CEO. That's very funny to me. That is out of touch. That statement right there it betrays a lot about, hey, heard you whacked the CEO out there. Yeah, heard you got a guy who uses AI to deny people's health insurance claims. You're looking pretty tough out there, white boy. What about it here? Like, they kill him or something? What are you talking about? Like, it's just, yeah, the prisoners cheered from when he entered jail. Have I?
This was just from a few hours ago, and here they are, 10 o'clock as promised. They said earlier today, tell Ashley Banfield that Luigi is watching at 10 o'clock. I mean, obviously, you know, that's just a hard roast at this point because they're not near Luigi in any way.
Can I just ask the guys, if they can hear me right now, to answer yes or no very loud. Does Luigi have television in his single cell?
No.
Unreal. They said no, right?
Yeah, they don't typically provide televisions in single cells in jail. Yeah, free my man. He didn't do anything. Yeah, again, the idea that like prisoners would target you for assassinating a healthcare CEO is hysterical. Like, what are you talking about? They're going to You're a celebrity to them, right? Yeah, the response, the crackdown, most people, I don't know if I can say most people support what Luigi did, because that's a very broad statement. I would say that support for Luigi extends well beyond like the online world. Ironically, the idea that support for Luigi is only online is a very online take. It's pretty obviously widespread. The idea like, oh, only Twitter lefties think this, like, no, that's, you're being online. It's, no. If anything, yeah, people love the guy. Now, the right-wing media and grifters have all basically condemned him. I think this should be seen as a reaffirmation that there's no real such thing as right-wing populism. On the left, left-wing pundits, like, or internet broadcasters, you know, anybody like that, are basically across the board, at the very least, making funny on this. Now, I would never support what he did. That would be illegal. Or it wouldn't be illegal to support it, but what he did was illegal, and we condemn all things illegal, because all laws are good, and to break the law is always bad. There, covered my bases. So on the left, like, everyone's in lockstep over this. On the right, basically all of their so-called populist pundits are like, no, that's bad. You can't do that. All these, like, you know, warriors against the deep state. Have we gotten Joe Rogan's take on this? I guarantee you 10 years ago, Joe Rogan would have been praising Luigi. I bet you now, I don't know for sure, maybe you're about to prove me wrong. I bet you now that Joe Rogan at best is like middle of the roading it or something like that. But now that he's like a right-wing op, you know, in all likelihood, I bet he'd be like condemning it. Here's Laura Loomer, again, a neo-Nazi. Saying like they'll rape you in prison. Why is Laura Loomer? Okay, Laura Loomer is not like a neocon at all. She's like a Nazi. Why would Laura Loomer hate this guy? She, to my knowledge, she's not like pro-existing health insurance industry at all. Why? No, like genuinely, what would the motivation for like a dissident right-wing populist be to despise Luigi Mangione? She serves corporate interest? Yes, that's it. There's no such thing as right-wing populism, not really. Not in policy or practice, at least. In rhetoric, yes. But at the end of the day, they're all bootlickers. The idea that, like, you know, you get far enough to the right and you have people who are like anti-health insurance in the same way. No, they're bootlickers of the exact same kind. You have all of these, like, you've got people like Tim Pool, who like, you know, they're like, oh, Bill Gates, you know, they basically signaled on the show like they'd be fine with a bunch of like rich tech CEOs getting killed or whatever, you know, but then when it comes down to something like this, they instantly fall back because it's all insincere rhetoric. In reality, the right also serves the capital class. And I want everyone who's like disillusioned with how things are going to go with Donald Trump over the next 4 years, like if you're right-leaning or maybe you think he's going to mix things up and then nothing changes, this is the reason why. You cannot oppose the institutions by backing people who are in bed with the institutions. You can't. What are you going to do? Like, oh man, the country's being torn apart by, you know, corporate greed and inequality. I know what I'll do. I'll vote in the guy who appointed the most wealthy, you know, presidential cabinet in all American history. Multiple billionaires in the cabinet. Joe Rogan surprised me. Apparently he doesn't care the CEO got whacked. Okay, maybe this will be interpreted as me walking back my statement a little bit. I don't want it to be interpreted that way because I don't feel it is. I think that 10 years ago, Joe Rogan would be flat out celebrating. This to me is a half statement. Joe Rogan says it's a dirty business. I don't think anyone's going to be crying too hard over Thompson's death. I think 10 years ago, he would be like, yeah, you're evil. You're a health insurance CEO. We know what you do. Yeah, no one cares. People love him for that. I think fully before he got bought. Before COVID, before he got bought, he would have been way over on that. Way over. Like Bill Burr did. Yeah. Yeah, I saw this. I literally read this title out loud like 5 minutes ago. That's basically a middle of the road statement like you said. Yeah. Yeah, Rogan would have been glazing him 10 years ago.
Obviously, we have a little bit of a delay, but they're getting. Yeah, they're getting the questions, and they're giving us the answers. So Luigi does not have. Wow, this is quite something. This is the strangest interview I've ever conducted.
Me too, Ashley.
I'm not gonna lie, it does sound like it's walking back a bit. I mean, I included the possibility of a middle of the road statement in there. I mean, maybe you forgot that. Maybe you're just looking for a dig. Maybe you're looking to hurt my feelings. And you know what? It worked. You feel powerful now?
You know, according to the Department of Corrections, he's got his own solitary cell. It's not solitary confinement, but he's by himself. It's not dorm style. I'm not sure exactly what those guys got going on in terms of a living situation itself.
My man is, I just realized he's wearing 3/4 zips. No, sorry, the top one isn't a quarter zip. It's got a button. It's just the way all of them lined up like this, you know?
Sounds like they're all clustered together. Isn't it interesting to see what accommodations that they have? They got their own light switches.
He looks like a flower.
Obviously watching TV.
They're all doing
past
it.
any sort of 10 o'clock curfew, you know? Yep, they're
Oh my
doing this
gosh,
for you.
look at
They're
this,
watching
Alex.
News Nation at this very moment.
It's pretty funny. I'm telling you, the his trial is going to be a big shindig, you know, and everyone in media is going to try to tell you to hate him, and they're going to misrepresent everything that he says. They're going to twist the fact. Again, assuming that this isn't all a plant or whatever, he did murder. Like he's going to jail like forever, basically. It's not even about like the crime itself. It's that there's going to be this big media circus about doing everything possible to make you hate him, not for the criminality of the act itself, but for like what it represents. And no, you shouldn't hate Brian Thompson. I've already seen that. I've already seen that in media. People defending Brian Thompson. No, what? You didn't give a shit about Brian Thompson until you realized that defending him was like key to defending the status quo in this case. You know? You're not fooling me on this. Nobody liked Brian Thompson. Nobody, not a single person on earth. You're only pretending to now because you like pretending to like him more than you like the millions and millions and millions of Americans sincerely hating him enough, despite having known nothing about him prior to his assassination, that they would cheer on his assassin. I just think it's really indicative. I guess I feel it's really, because we've been trying to focus back on this more, and this is such a good example of it. It's really revealing of that like baseline Marxist position that you can dabble in the cultural issues as much as you want, but at the end of the day, the culture war is a distraction from the real underlying one, right? Like, you know, people on the right can go, trans people, and you know, the Republicans can go, trans people. The Democrats can go, oh, we support trans people, asterisk, until we don't. The back and forth nonstop between this and that, but they both unify against you when it comes to anything that might like really challenge the upper class, like the class sentiment, because it's not about stochastic violence, right? The idea that you're going to fix anything, nothing institutional will be fixed through vigilantism. This instance of vigilantism is useful only insofar as it reveals the beliefs and predilections of the American people. And it tells us something that if you were paying attention, you already knew, which is that Americans not only hate, the upper class or like the establishment or the elites or whatever you want to call it, but they hate them so much that they would cheer Luigi on for something like this. So for stuff like this, you don't get a back and forth. The Democrats aren't championing this. The Republicans aren't like, no, this is woke or whatever. Everyone in the media, in the Capitol building is arguing against it, against public opinion, because they all ultimately answer to the same masters. It is a political catalyst, Marcus 148. That is 100% true. It absolutely is a political catalyst, but they're going to do everything they can to suppress people's class, the consciousness they might develop from reconciling with these feelings by trying to blanket people in a bunch of misinformation, like how, Brian Thompson is the real working class hero or some stupid shit like that. Biden could do the greatest thing in his entire 4 years right now. No, it's a state charge, but also, he wouldn't, of course. Yeah, and not to lump on the conspiracism, again, I'm really interested. I still personally think that they got him using illegal surveillance technology, and they don't want to admit that they did that. Like, they don't want to admit that without a warrant they were accessing like video feeds, maybe from like Starbucks interior surveillance cameras, like without getting it from a warrant. They just like flat out accessed it or whatever via the numerous systems that allow you to do that Edward Snowden had to flee the country after after revealing the information on. So when they say this, McDonald's worker might not get the $50K reward because he called 911 and not the tip number. Also, the money has to be approved by the Secretary of State. This makes me think there was no person who called the tip line. So the reason why they're finding an excuse to not give the tip money is because there is no such person. So they're just like making up what the excuse would be. That's just a guess. I don't know for sure. Maybe in the future, someone will come out and be like, and announce that they are I saw there are a bunch of people on social media saying that there was a lady who was the one who, like a 70-year-old lady was the one who made the tip and isn't getting the money. I haven't seen any verification of that. It seems like a bunch of people are just going after a random old lady on her Facebook. It's like it seems like another Boston bomber hoax, kind of just people absolutely dumping on some rando. Yeah, big internet moment. There's screenshots of a Facebook post. It's so easy to fake stuff like that. So easy. Thread on the surveillance idea. Yeah, these are weird photos to get. Apparently these are photos of him inside the McDonald's. How did you get these? They haven't released the body cam footage either. How did you get a front-facing photo of him like you? What surveillance camera could have captured him at this angle? Like, oh, okay, like this is the floor. He's looking up. He's looking like right at it. The e-kiosk you order from. That's what I've heard people say, that the e-kiosk you order from or something, you know? Now, is it real? Genuinely no clue. I am curious, though. I mean, we know the government illegally surveils us, like, anyway. Like, we know that for a fact. That's not a conspiracy. We know for a fact the government, the FBI violates the law in how they conduct surveillance. So it's not even really a conspiracy. It's been proven. They definitely can see through the McDonald's kiosks if they want to. Just another reason not to go to McDonald's. Yeah, it's overpriced anyway.